What if the secret to thriving in life, in business, and in your own backyard wasn't just what you know, but who you know and how you give back? Today on This Is Jax, I sit down with James Lampke, a man who's turned networking into a movement and philanthropy into a mission. We dive into the powerful stories behind the I Got a Guy brand, life-changing impact of 100 plus men who care, and why giving back could be the most important investment you ever make for your community and yourself. If you've ever wondered how to turn connections into real change, this episode is your blueprint. Let's get into it. Welcome back to This Is Jax, the hyperlocal podcast focused on living life in Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. If you're considering digging your roots in Jacksonville, then this is the show for you. All right, James Lampke.
What's up, brother?
We're here. It took me like a year, but I got you in the hot seat.
Hey, let's ride.
No, we met like a year ago, maybe a little bit more through Jack's Chamber stuff.
Right.
So just through getting to know each other, and you do stay busy. So there's no joke there. Of course, you stay busy and super involved in the city. And you happen to be a Jacksonville native.
Yeah. I like to say pretty much born and raised, but Orange Park Hospital. Raised in Middleburg. You know, it's like with anything, I tried to leave once, it didn't work. And been here ever since, man. So going on 40 years.
That's good. After 40 years in our city, and you've been here, and I know you've traveled and done other things, but, you know, what do you love most about calling Jack's home?
I would 100% say the community, right? It's the running joke, right? It's the smallest town. Everybody's two steps removed from everybody else, right? But it's amazing to me how easily the community gets behind the community, right? The support that you get, the mentorship, the growth opportunities, everything that the Jacksonville community has to offer is such a huge point to what makes this such a good city. And then how can you discount like the beaches right there? You got the St. John's River over here, food, entertainment. Hopefully after this year we can say Jaguars, we're gonna have a winning season.
Yeah, so, I'm excited. Did you watch any of the draft? You saw the stuff? I mean, as a long-term fan, I'm guessing I see you got some Alabama loyalties there too. Yeah, roll tide. But you excited about the season? I'm excited about the season. It looks like we're putting a young team together from the top down. And talking about community, and I'm going to kind of talk about that too. You know, I was telling my brother the other day, he lives in Oklahoma City, and I don't know, you know, I grew up in South Florida, Tampa, lived in Ohio for a little bit. And here, even like our athletes, I mix with them at my children's school. I see them at church or other locations. They go out in town and eat at the restaurant, or you see them on the beach with their family. And I feel like that's unique to our city. Even people at all different levels are kind of like, we're together in that community here.
I agree 100%, bro. It is, you don't see it, right?
Yeah, I don't think it exists everywhere else.
I don't either, and I don't think it's a Jaguar thing. Again, I don't think it's a player thing, right? They all play the same game, but I really think it's a community thing. This community rubs off on you quick. I mean, just like you were mentioning the draft, like watching the players that we selected come into town and the videos and the things of them being accepted, and you can already see that Jacksonville kind of personality start to rub off on people. It's home, man. You know, it's the biggest little small town. And from the moment you step foot in this town, you feel it.
Yeah, it really is. I really like it. I'm sold out on it, obviously. So your journey, so you've been through sales, you've got leadership. How did that all evolve into your current mission of giving back and kind of celebrating others, which we're going to kind of dive into here, but how did that come to be for you?
So, you know, it's when we put this on the books, the chat, right? I sat back and I started thinking back about getting involved. And, you know, my earliest thought process is when I was in college, I was in a fraternity, and my fraternity, we supported a lot of the local nonprofits, giving back, usually like boys' homes and things like that. Just giving time, playing sports, you know, doing events with them and giving back that way. But, you know, the more I thought about it, I've been doing philanthropic stuff since I was a kid. You know, my family's been involved in Relay for Life for decades. And, you know, at that age, when you're a kid, it's just, look, run around all night. And when the parents get tired, you walk for us because you have energy. And that was philanthropy back then, right? And, you know, but really my journey really didn't start until about 2018. I was working for Robert Half. I was doing staffing and IT staffing here in Jacksonville, and I was getting involved, wanting to get involved. and I got on the IT council, and I immediately fell in love. Like the IT council has a thing called Tech Coast Conference. It's a technology conference held here in Jacksonville every year. It's meant for small to medium sized businesses to showcase, their business and what they're bringing to the table for technology in Jacksonville, but also a vehicle for us to educate the community, whether it be small business leaders or other technical professionals, on what is here in Jacksonville. Because again, biggest small town there is, but a lot of people don't realize how much is here. And it's simple stuff like the PGA.
Yeah.
Think of all the golf technology that comes out of the PGA, that comes out of the Jacksonville,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of companies here like that. So I got involved with that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of industries that when you think about the state of Florida, you don't really couple them together if you actually go look at that.
Right. And so I got involved in that, and I was just coming out of selling timeshare. And I was this young gun. I could do no wrong. Some of the people that watch this from the IT council laugh about it. I just walked in. I was like, dude, we can make this conference so much better, right?
Yeah.
And I was on it for a year and 18 helping out. And then I was like, yo, I want to take this. I want to run with it and have fun with it. And I want to take it to the Jag Stadium. And that was kind of outside the realm because it's a nonprofit conference. It's not meant to make money. The only money we're meant to make is that so we can pay for scholarships for local students. So they were like, I don't know if you can. And we did. And it was one of the biggest we've ever had. As far as size and vendors, like it was the biggest we ever had. And we grew from that. And it's kind of taken us to where we are today. But I fell in love with it. And from that, I started to get more and more involved. And that's about when I had my children, And I started looking at things and listening to what people were doing in the community, and started to really get involved in things that would be supportive of my daughters, in a bad situation, in a good situation, better Jacksonville, and start to help people. And I fell in love with it, man. Like, I absolutely fell in love with it because the simple fact is I became that sales guy that wanted to give before I asked to get. And once I started doing that, not only did my business and my success grow, but my relationships grew, opportunities grew, and I was getting involved in more and more, almost to the point where I might be overly involved sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's worth every minute of it.
So something came to mind when I was thinking about that was kind of like the idea of intentional living.
Okay.
Intentionally building relationships, intentionally looking for things that kind of, it's not just work, but it's also work that kind of helps your family. For somebody who's thinking about getting into that space, sometimes early on, intentional living can give you, and they call it different things, can maybe give you like a fraudulent feeling, where you're forcing yourself to like, I've got my call list and I don't want the person I'm calling to have this feeling like I called them just because they were on my list. You know what I mean? How did you overcome? Did you have any of that stuff early on that you had to overcome? Or for maybe some advice for somebody who is feeling that way, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's in sales, it has to overcome those objections, right? And there's so many different avenues of success in sales. Some people are that old school sales professional, and that works for some. Grew up in that environment. My dad was a car salesman for 35 years. I get it. But for me, it really evolved. Like I said, I was selling timeshare, so I was that sales guy moving up into that. I'm not buying today, great, because I'm not selling. What do you want to do for 3 hours, right? And let the process work out, and quick cheesy one-liners. But as I moved into Robert Half, something sparked in me as a salesperson to where I got to do what I love. Like what we do as salespeople, right, is you got to love it, right? It's tough. Like you said, it started to become intentional. Right. And the fact that I got to work for a staffing agency, which no one grows up thinking they're going to work for a staffing agency, but I got to do sales. But at the end of the day, if you think about vulnerability times in your life, right? Having kids, getting married, you lose your job, you need a job, whatever. That's a vulnerable time, man. And so I started to fall in love with that process and that feeling of this is somebody who really needs my help. Right. And I took that, and I had some fantastic mentors along the way. I really took that, and it became more of intentional relationships, right? I don't care. And I'll circle back to a good story. I don't care how or when we work together. I just want to build a relationship with you so that we can possibly have a relationship. And then down the road, if you need something, I want to be that guy for you. And it's really built my network out to where people know they can call me if they need help with something, if they need something. And it really became that versus, hey, I have this fantastic product, please buy it. It was, are you struggling with anything? Or what is something interesting that you're working on right now? And just listen to the story and see if there's some way that you can interact together, whether that be my product or introducing to a service a friend owns. Heck, maybe I run into them and they're like, dude, I want to buy a house. And I was like, you got to talk to my boy Nate, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of life I wanted to build. And for almost a decade now, that's kind of how I lived. And it's kind of changed the whole dynamic of how I approach sales.
I love that. So kind of transitions from just sales to like really getting an understanding of the relationships that are key to that long term, where you're not just buying some leads and then the day you stop paying for the leads, the business ends. It's like it almost becomes a perpetual engine, and it just grows and stays steady itself. I like hearing that. We focus on that a lot too. Let's dive into the I Got a Guy brand. What's the story behind that brand? How does it serve the community?
So this is something that I'm having fun with, right? Again, working at Robert Half, a lot of my stories come back to Robert Half because I was there so long.
That's all right.
But
I talk about the Navy all the time because I was there so long.
We can go to that too. So Teddy Enquist, one of my closest friends, was my business partner, my boss. Every word for it. It was a thing. Like our boss Matt used to give everybody nicknames. He was Teddy Ballgame. I was Jimmy I Got a Guy. And a lot of that spawned off of what we were just talking about. And it was, people would call in and be like, yo, I need XYZ PDQ, right? And I'm like, cool, I got a guy, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I got it, right? And it became this running joke, right? And so fast forward, gosh,
Man.
7, 8 years later, right? And I start looking at myself, like trying to find a hobby, right? Like I'm doing all this networking, I work a lot, and I was trying to find something to do for myself. And I started down the path of like woodworking, turning pens, and nothing. I tried smoking meats, like nothing interested me. And so I sat down with one of my mentors one day and I was talking to him about it. And he was like, dude, what do you love? And I was like, dude, I love what I'm doing. I like working. I like being with people in the community. He's like, you love networking and you're really good at it. And I was like, thank you. And then he's like, why don't you write a book or do something that turns into something where you can educate people? So the beginning of the year, towards the end of last year, I started writing a book called I Got a Guy, The Power of Networking. If I am as smart as I think I am, hopefully it'll come out by the end of this year. But it's a book that is meant not necessarily for the introduction of networking, but to talk about the best practices and the horror stories of networking and how that can elevate not only your brand, but elevate your business, elevate your sales, whatever that may be, and doing it the right way, right? And then making it fun. So I started with that, went to doing blog posts. So I do 2 blog posts, maybe 3 blog posts a month. It's just tips, tricks, and it's things that I'm pulling out of what I'm writing, right? And simplifying it to social media terms and blog posts. And eventually I want to do something like you're doing, man. Like be able to sit here and talk to some people that do really good networking, are growing the community through their network, and really give businesses an opportunity to elevate themselves while having fun with it through that. So that's kind of where that came from. And it's been interesting. It's been really, really interesting because I'm not a writer at all. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah.
But I've got good people in my life, man. And if it becomes a book that only goes on my shelf, I don't care. And maybe it's just a blog forever. Or if it becomes a book and I sell 10 copies or whatever, it's all for fun and just to see if I can do it. So I think it's been a pretty cool journey, one of which I definitely discovered I am not a writer at all.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting there, slowly but surely.
Do you, so do you have like anybody, like who are you sending it out to, the preview or checkout or publishing involved or anything in depth like that?
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that's a writer, and
you got a guy.
Yeah, I got a guy.
There we go. That's all
I ran into him. He's a writer here in town. He writes books here in town, and we've been friends for years. And I reached out. I ran into him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm writing now." And I was like, "Cool, dude." And I was like, "I'm trying to write a book." And he's like, "How's that going?" I was like, "Horrible." I got a word screen that's just full of jumbled words, not separated, just my mind on paper. And he's like, "Send it to me." And we've been working through that. And
very cool.
Going through different iterations, editing, things like that, and he's teaching me along the way. Like that's my biggest thing too, is like, as I do this stuff, I don't want someone to do it for me. I don't expect to become, any kind of spectacular writer and put out all these books, but I want to understand why you're telling me these things, right? So that I can try to better myself, maybe for future stuff, whatever, but at least I'm gaining some kind of knowledge and something that you as a writer are good at, so.
Well, we can't wait to see it when it comes out.
Maybe I'll print two just so you can have one, and you can be honest with me before you produce it.
I've got a couple book reviews on my YouTube channel. I've only done even though I've done a lot of YouTube, I've only done 3. I could do a 4th book review for you there.
Let's see how it is for as long as it's good. Just help. We got to get subscribers and get people to say yes, I want to read it.
Let's do that. Okay, another thing you're involved in, which I've been learning more and more about, and I've got to make it out to 100 plus men who care. Can you share how's this group making an impact here in Jacksonville?
Amazingly, dude. Like this is honestly one of the best groups I'm a part of. So it was started by a couple of guys here in Jax, local guys, Brian, John, and Chip and I became friends. He came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to be a part of this. I want you to be on the board with us. Help us run this." And I did. And so 100 Men Jacksonville is a part of a much bigger nonprofit in the country. There's hundreds of them. There's 100 plus men and 100 plus women. And then you just reach out, say, I want to do this. I want to create this. You create the 501c3. We are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3. And we run it. It's our business, right? And so what 100 plus men who care Jacksonville is we're a group of men that come together. It's a social group. We meet once a quarter. In that time frame, we select 3 nonprofits that are local to the North Florida and Jacksonville region. We bring them in, we vet them out, make sure everything's everything. We really try to focus on those smaller to medium-sized, like emerging nonprofits. So, under $2-3 million a year in revenue, 1 to 2 years in business. And we bring them in, they get 10 minutes to present, 3 minutes to ask, the group gets 3 minutes to ask questions. And at the end of it, we vote. And whoever wins, when you attend, everybody that attends donates $100. And so right now we're right at 100 men. So right now we're giving away anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 a quarter to a nonprofit that's in need. And the impact it's given. I think back to the first one we did, because we're only on our 3rd nonprofit. We've only been a group for about 7.5 months. Was Dean Porter from Hunger Fight in Jacksonville. And, we sent him, and he was one of our first winners, and it was, roughly around $6,000, right?
Okay.
We were getting started. And he sent out the stuff that it went to, and it was like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 22 or 400 meals. And I think it was like 170 or 270 books we gave to kids because of that donation. And so it's really trying to help some of these people that are trying to help gain the funds they need to make a difference. And it's been beautiful, man. It's affected so many so fast. And, every month, every day we look at it, we're just growing membership.
That's really cool.
And kind of innovating through what we're doing to grow the organization.
I love that. For $100 a quarter, $33 a month.
Right.
Anybody
can do it, dude.
Can be a part of this group that collectively at this point is responsible for $40,000 worth of charity a year. And if it grows, wow, that's super. And anybody who's looking to get involved, that would definitely be something to be looking at.
Check out 100men.com, and it's right there. It tells you everything you need to know. It's free to sign up. And then, and it's not, what I really like about it too, is it's not one of those organizations, like if you have a bad quarter, man, and you can't throw the $100, you still come. It's okay, right? Because it's not just about the money, it's about awareness. Because we've partnered with Client Focused Media. They're putting them on their TV show with Tom McManus, The Horse's Mouth, and they're getting recognition. So even if they don't win, it's about making awareness around these people, because, that's one thing. I think we mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of things in this town people don't know about.
Right.
And when we looked up, there's a database of nonprofits. We looked it up. There's something like 4,000 or 5,000 nonprofits in the North Florida area. There's something out there for everybody, even if it's just you want to get involved with it. So even just that promotional piece is game changing for people. Yeah,
just another example of the many ways you can be a part of our community and get things done. A whole motivation behind even starting this show is that claim that there's nothing to do in Jacksonville. And I'm out here countering that either with our vlog where we're going to the beaches or to, the museums. And then on these conversations where look at all this stuff that's behind the scenes that makes our city what it is. So you can absolutely find not just something to do, but something to get involved in that gives you some sort of purpose and meaning right here in our city. So that's great. And there's one other thing you're a part of. I recently attended one of your networking fundraising events. It's LLS Visionaries of the Year campaign, right? Did I say that right?
Dead on, man.
All right. So what's this experience like, and why is this important to you?
So this is, for those that don't know, LLS is Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And just to give a little bit of background on it, the Visionary of the Years program is a program where they go to the local communities. They're in 120-ish markets doing this. and they go and get leaders in the community, right? And they've got their community partners, like ViStar is a community partner. They nominate somebody always from ViStar. AO same way. But I got involved last year, and they asked me to be a visionary this year, and really it is a 10-week fundraiser where the visionaries, me and I have 8 counterparts this year that are visionaries as well. We built our own teams, and it's kind of, you do what you want to raise money, right? I've thrown events, we've done networking events, parties. We did a hockey game with the Icemen. Really, again, to go back to what I said a minute ago, raise awareness and then raise funds, right? And it's a competition. So the 9 of us are in competition together. Whoever wins gets recognition and some other things. It's a very nice gala at the end of May. But really, it boils down to, Jacksonville leaders in the Jacksonville community coming together to make a difference. And it has been one of the most surreal and exhausting things I've ever done. Like, it's a lot because I thought I beat the system, right? So I went out and I watched it last year, and it's tough, man. And people, when you go and you do things like this, you go to your friends, right? You're like, yo, will you help me do this? And da 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 da. And friends always try to help. And I was like, I'm gonna beat the system. I'm gonna go get a bunch of operators, right? I'm gonna go get people to help me raise money, right? Little did I know that also means that they're leaders, they're successful, they're busy. And so, it was a different learning curve, but it's been awesome. And it's super important to me, man, because cancer has riddled my family. My mother is a multi-time cancer survivor. And then my wife is actually a childhood leukemia survivor. So being a part of this, I didn't know what I was getting into last year, because he said, Darren, my buddy that got me in, said, hey, I'm doing this thing for cancer. We're raising money. It's called LLS Visionaries. Will you help me? And I was like, yep, done. I'm in. Cancer, I got you, bro. Like, mom. And I came home that night and told my wife, because the opening day was the next day. I was like, I need you to come with me to this opening event for LLS Visionaries that I'm helping Darren with, raise money for cancer. And she's like, yeah, LLS, I know what it is. And I was like, oh, cool, awesome. And she's like, babe, it's Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I was like, oh, okay,
Wow.
maybe I should know these things. And so it's been really awesome, man. But I tell you, the best thing is, like, we've done really good. My team is amazing. We've raised a bunch of money so far. My community, their communities, people in general, random people have been extremely generous with their money, with their time. But at the beginning of this, so in the program, they have what they call heroes, and there's 2 of them. One young man's name is Bentley. The other one, her name is Angie. She's an adult. Bentley is a kid, child leukemia survivor. And obviously, I just want to beat cancer, but I really try to support the child piece, because my wife went through it. I've heard the stories. It's terrible, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't realize. And so I reached out to the Iceman, a good buddy of mine over there, Grant Manning, and said, hey, man, I really want to do something special for this kid and his family. If we could, can I get 6 tickets, bring them to the game? Let's do something special for him, and help me out that way. And he was like, yeah, no problem, dude. And he shows up at the kickoff event, tells the mom, hey, you're going to come do this. And he grabs me and he goes, hey, man, you want to do something real special? And I said, yeah, I do. And he's like, cool, dude. Here's how he gave me, I think it was like 200, 300 tickets. And he's like, sell as many as you can, and we'll give you proceeds from the door. And we did. And we had, just under 200 tickets, I think, sell. Probably about 130, 150-ish people at the game. And that was the best experience of my life, dude. This kid went through a horrific trauma, right, as a child, which no child should have to go through this, and lost so much of his childhood. I mean, years, man. And it was terrible. And then I got the opportunity to give this to him, and it was so wonderful, man. They set it up to where we went back. We were in the tunnel when the team came out, slapped hands with the team. They brought us out. We stood in the team's box.
Wow.
His mother had these Bentley Brave rubber wristbands made that gave them to all the players. The players are skating by, like, both teams, like, flapping the bracelet, packing the ice. And it was awesome, man.
That's
and they
cool.
announced them. He was a little nervous about it. Cameraman was a little forward.
Yeah.
But I told Sarah, my LLS coach that works for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I was like, I don't care if I win anymore. Like, I'm a sales guy, I want to win, right? But I was like, this is everything to me. There's nothing that means more than doing this. And it was amazing. But you got to keep pushing forward, because at the end of the day, it's about raising funds and awareness. And I think my favorite thing about the program is a vast majority. It's like 70 or 75% of the money that we raise as the Jacksonville Visionaries stays here in Jacksonville to go to one of the 3 pillars of success for the LLS program.
Okay. So it's right there. Super involved in our community with all of that. Man, that's impressive to hear. Really, thanks for getting involved in that and making it like your life mission. And I know you're juggling like 3 or 4 life missions at the same time.
It's fun though.
And so, yeah, it's impressive. Hey, some ways to get involved. I know you sent me some. We might be past the date while they come out, but May 15th, speaking of ice, you've got
Yeah.
Putting Cancer on Ice at Community First Igloo. For anybody listening today who wants to give back or get involved in something like that, how do they go about doing that?
So you can follow me. I'll shoot you the link so you can share it as well. There's an Eventbrite link to sign up in RSVP. Don't care if you do. It's just so we can kind of get a head count piece. Just show up, man. May 15th, 5:30 to 7:30. At the Igloo. There's the sports bar there, IceBreakers. If you haven't been, that's worth going in itself. But there's going to be an auction. We've got some signed Duke stuff back here that's
Okay.
going up for auction that night. The Christian Leitner shot is up there. That's going out. We've got some Trevor Lawrence gear being auctioned off that night.
Very cool.
A couple of hotel stays, but you can do that. Follow me on LinkedIn. I don't just post the charitable stuff that I'm doing in events, but I try to post every event that I'm doing just in case someone is interested in coming checking out one of the networking events, one of the social groups, whatever. Again, it's about spreading awareness and getting people involved the way they want to get involved.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I haven't obviously just recently started coming to some of your events, but the entry price, you might not win the bid, but the bids start at a reasonable amount. They're double digit, single digit bid starting points, not like $4,000 starting bids like you get at some other places. Right. I don't know if I've been to a couple events where I'm like, maybe I can win today. And then the first hand goes up and I'm like, well, I'll just sit this one out.
It was a good night, though. It was a good night.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I can vouch for that. Definitely get out and check those out. We'll have those notes below. Well, a couple last questions here before we're going to do something new. We're going to do a rapid fire segment, which we haven't done before. So you're the first one to get the rapid fire questions. But before we do, just want to talk a little bit about the passion, a little bit more just kind of about the local stuff. And so when you meet someone for the first time in Jax, what do you love? What do you enjoy highlighting most about their journey or finding out about them here in our city?
My favorite question is always going to be, what's something interesting you've done lately, or what's something interesting you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Right. I want to hear their story, like things like this and stuff where I get to go talk and tell my story. I'm extremely grateful, but I love hearing where people have been and where they're going and the success they think they're going to have. I love hearing back from them about where they ended up, good, bad, and different. Always just, tell me something about yourself you're excited about. That's what matters. And then kind of go from there and build a relationship.
Yeah, like that. Any, aside from the ones we've already touched on, any other local businesses, local leaders, or causes you'd love to give a shout out to?
Dude, there is entirely too many, to be honest with you. But,
come to the event and you'll meet them firsthand.
Do that, but I'll say this, and this is a shout out to some folks that have really helped me through the LLS thing and kind of really just solidified how I feel about the city and the city getting involved. On the sports teams in Jacksonville, the athletes, amazing, right?
Yeah.
My boy Tom McManus, former Jaguar, one of the originals, has helped me do a lot of things. The Iceman with Grant over there, like, this my boy, man. Like, that guy went over and above to help out. The Sharks are getting involved. They've been fantastic. David's awesome. Jenny and Guzman Castro, if you get involved in anything at the beach, you probably know who Jenny is. She has a personality like you've never met. Freaking love them.
Yeah.
They're amazing people, dude. Lauren Lee and Thomas Lee from Lee and Kate's Glass, they'll get your glass right, but they're amazing people, dude. I really don't think people know how much it is they do in this community. They're a heartbeat of Jacksonville, in my opinion, man. And then, all the mentors that I've had, man, like, throughout this entire process of doing a nonprofit thing like this LLS thing is not easy. It's not something you just pick up on, especially to see the success that my team and I have seen, right? And some of the nonprofit leaders around town that have helped me and mentored me through that, like, huge shouts out to them, man, because they know who they are, and their wisdom and guidance has definitely attributed to the success my team and I are feeling right now.
Yeah. So important to have the ones who've kind of gone before you be able to pour into you. And they're here. If you seek them out and you put the effort and you put your foot forward and you make that, you'll get a response from them for sure.
Every time.
All right, let's dive into these little fun closeout segment here. I might know the answer to some of these. Favorite Jack's coffee shop?
Jack's coffee shop? It's got to be Biddy and Bo's, dude.
Okay.
Biddy and Bo's.
I've never been there. I'll check it out. Where's it at?
It's down in San Marco. Amazing story. They hire folks with mental disabilities, and I love that place, man. It feels like home when you go in there. Coffee's fantastic, and the staff is amazing. Shout out to my boy Keith that works there. Saw him today.
All right.
He's always a treat to
Love it. All right. Hidden gem in the city.
hidden gem in the city. Ooh, another coffee shop, Noah's Coffee Shop.
Okay. Gotta have. Hey, listen. When you're going full speed ahead, right? You gotta have the.
Gotta have the Java, bro.
Hey, if you could grab lunch, you took a break from the coffee. You're grabbing lunch with any local leader. Who would it be? Why?
Any local leader? That's not fair, bro. That's not fair at all.
All right.
Local leader, I'm gonna say Laura Edgecombe.
Okay.
Because she's supposed to have lunch with me, and if she's watching, she sees this Laura. I still want my lunch, but she's definitely somebody that I thrive to be like, and would just really want to pick her brain and kind of learn from her success and her challenges. She's been an amazing friend and mentor in my involvement so far, and I'd love to continue to grow that relationship.
Okay. Love it. And I don't know if this one's even possible. One word best describes Jacksonville for you.
Family.
Family. I love it. It is a great place to have a family. Well, listen, May 15th, we've got that event. We'll have all those notes below. I'd encourage you guys listening to connect and support James Missions. We'll have all this in the show notes. We'll have it in a blog form as well on my website. And then it'll be on all the social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, X, of course. James, thanks so much for taking time out of your super busy schedule, coming on here to talk about everything that you got going on. And for our guests, thanks for taking time to listen. For the listeners, what is the best way for them to contact you?
You can always reach out via email, LinkedIn. Email's jameslampke@outlook.com. It's my personal. And then always LinkedIn, man. I'm a LinkedIn nut. Just look me up on LinkedIn, James Lampke. Send me a request. Don't do like they say. You don't need to write nothing. Just say, hey, connect. I'll connect with you.
Awesome.
Let's start the convo, man.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, James. And thanks for listening. This is Jax.
Take care.